Man, this was a rough one. Jayson Tatum had one of his worst games since coming back. Jaylen Brown was horrific shooting-wise as well, but he still got to 30 points, and a win is a win against, yes, a tanking Memphis Grizzlies team, but a win that you needed with the Pistons and Knicks winning, staying comfortably in second place in the Eastern Conference. Up everyone, and welcome in to your Celtics source here on a late Friday night, coming to you after the Boston Celtics escape with the win 117 and 112. And I use the word escape because this was by no means a good Celtics game. It was a horrific shooting night. What did they go? 26 from 3, 11 of 42, 45% overall field goal percentage is not terrible. 40 of 89. Tons of turnovers, especially from Derek White, who, is known for not turning the ball over, among other things that he does well, which we saw some of late in the game when the Celtics closed it out. But I do want to start with Jayson Tatum, because, he's going to have these ups and downs shooting-wise. But he's only really had one good game shooting-wise since he's came back. And that was last game against the Golden State Warriors. And you're playing another tanking-ish team. I don't think, I wouldn't consider the Warriors tanking. They're just super injured. Grizzlies definitely tanking. They've shut Ja down for this season. And they have guys like Ty Jerome and who was the other guy that went off for like 20 points off the bench? Tyler Burton, never heard of that guy. He went off. One of the things about tanking, teams that are tanking, and we've said this before, tanking comes from management and ownership. It doesn't come from the coach. Slightly from the coach maybe, because the manager and owner tell him, who he can play and who he can't play. But the players are always going to go out there and try and win. The players are playing for their next contract, for, a place in the NBA going forward. They're not going to just look at a team and an ownership that wants them to lose and say, I'm going to lose. And we got a game, one of the best games played by the Memphis Grizzlies this season, obviously super helped by the problems, the self-inflicted wounds that the Celtics were creating. And Jayson Tatum specifically, I'm starting to wonder if that shooting is not going to come back this season fully. And he's never been a great shooter. And, he's doing a better job now that he gets more comfortable on his legs to drive to the rim. And obviously he's still doing the rebounding, the playmaking, the assists. That's all still there, and that's all still great, right? It's better to have a guy like that shooting whatever that percentage is than without him, right? I'd still rather take him over playing guys like Ron Harper Jr. and Baylor Shireman, despite how well they've played for you this season. We're still going to take the upside with Jayson Tatum because of all the things he does. But I can't say that this team is a championship contender. Now, I'll take that back. Championship contender, yes. I can't say that this team has a chance to win the finals with Jayson Tatum shooting like this. And I don't know what it's going to take to get him back on track. He's had, what is it? This is his 6th game, maybe 7th game that he's played so far. He's averaging pretty good numbers, but on just tons and tons of shots to get there. The efficiency has not been good. The shooting has not been good. And as I said, I'm starting to wonder if we are going to get any better shooting from Jayson Tatum this season. Or, I know with reps, it could get better, and he still has 12 games. I don't think he's going to play all of them, and it shouldn't really matter in the first round either. But starting to get into those later rounds, he needs to be shooting in at least mid 30s from three, and 45% overall as a shooter. Plus getting to the line, drawing contact. He's still smoking easy bunnies at the rim. Some contested layups, but ones that he was making last season and years before. So I'm starting to get a little nervous on Jayson Tatum. Right, by no means is this the end of the world. He still has 13 games to go to get it right. So we'll just something to keep an eye on. As for other guys on this team, and we're gonna get to Jaylen Brown. He once again gets to 30 points. Wasn't a great game from Jaylen Brown. The turnovers weren't a huge problem from Jaylen Brown. I think he only had one turnover. They definitely were a problem from Derek White, and he only picks up one turnover, but he had a bunch of, just late shot clock passes that, resulted in turnovers for Jayson Tatum or bad passes to Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard was terrible in this game as well. He had 4 turnovers, scores 19 points on 3 of 10 from 3, 5 of 13 overall, which is not, extremely horrific, but it was the starters in this game that really let this team down, right? And obviously you're playing a team like the Memphis Grizzlies, so you're able to come away from the win. But, it's sort of the opposite of those games against the Thunder and the Spurs where you might have had silver linings. This is a game where you win, but it's mostly a negative feeling around this team after this game, right? And it's one game, you get the job done on the road, you're back at home to face the Wolves on Sunday. You can't, there's 82 games in the season. You can't, dwell on, single games. You just got to move on to the next. But given that we're doing reactions after all these games, we will react to what went wrong in this game. And it was Derek White's sloppy passes. It was Peyton Pritchard's sloppy passes. It was horrific shooting. The only way they were able to stay alive in this game and win it down the stretch was just terrific offensive rebounding percentages. They out-rebounded, I do believe, the Grizzlies 57-35. Tons of them on the offensive glass, just getting second chance opportunities, right? And if you're not going to have the great shooting percentage, just win the game on the margins by getting more possessions, more shots up. If you take twice as many shots as the Memphis Grizzlies do, then, it doesn't really matter in a game like this that you're shooting that poorly. You're able to come away from a win, right? Against better opponents, not going to be the case. You're going to lose those games. But a terrific job from guys like Luka Garza, who, was just all over the boards, giving the Celtics extra opportunities, giving the Celtics down the stretch, most specifically, Keita didn't play in crunch time. It was all Garza, and just Garza knocked down a couple threes late, but the most important thing was he was able to just give the Celtics another chance to get some points, some easy points with the Memphis Grizzlies defense scrambling after a live rebound. Right? And I'm going to keep this really short just because, it is a game where the Celtics play terribly. They come away with a win. You stay right in the middle, second place in the Eastern Conference. Right? There's not much to take away from this game besides Jayson Tatum. Right? He's the only one that you're really worried about having such a poor performance. And that being said, it's only a 6-game back, so you're not even super upset with his performance, right? But Jaylen Brown, he gets to 30 points. I do believe he scored 30 points in his last 4 games, maybe 4 out of the last 5 games, something like that. Right? But I did talk about it, right? 10 of 23 shooting, 2 of 5 from 3. Once again, making his free throws, right? If he's not going to be making outside shots, and historically, he hasn't been a great free throw shooter, but I do think he's shooting up in the high 80s, maybe even 90s in the month of March, right? He's just been fantastic at the line, something that he is getting the calls now, right? He's been arguing for them all season. He's starting to get some of those calls, right? It goes up and down with the refs you get, with the opponent you're playing, with his physicality. It goes up and down for sure, but he's getting to the line more consistently, and he's now making his free throws. He's now making teams pay for fouling him, and that's just great to see. See if Jaylen Brown can keep that up in the high 80s for the rest of the season. Historically, he's been more of that 75 to 80 free throw percent shooter, which is really strange given that he's a great mid-range shooter, and it's, the same range of shot that he loves to hit, right? But in this game as well, right, Jaylen Brown, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, continues to try and make plays for others, which he's, obviously done a great job of all season. But other than that, right, it's just a game, you're not going to take much away from it. It's a game where Jaylen Brown just keeps his 30-point streak alive. We see that, obviously, Jayson Tatum didn't have it tonight, but Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum still defers to Jaylen Brown. That's exactly what you want to see. It is still Jaylen Brown's team this season. I've said this multiple times, and I'll iterate it again. Jayson Tatum is the playmaker, the facilitator. Jaylen Brown's the scorer, the play finisher. And that's how this team is going to have success in the playoffs. Going forward, we will have a reaction Sunday night. It probably won't be live, but we'll have a reaction Sunday night after the Wolves game. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Sunday morning, we're actually going to go live and actually just talk about the NBA. We'll talk about Cade Cunningham's injury. We're going to talk about all NBA awards, stuff like that. It'll be a little bonus episode before we get back to normal podcast episodes after the Wolves game. But yeah, we're going to talk about all NBA, who, in my opinion, should be MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. I think that one's the easiest to pick. Rookie of the Year is a little bit harder. Right? But then, all NBA first team, second team, third team. We're going to go through all of that. So we'll do that probably live tomorrow night. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, until next time, go C's. Once again, Celtics win 117-112 against the Memphis Grizzlies. They improved to 47-23 on the season with just 12 games to go before the playoffs start on April 18th. Make sure to check out podcasts on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts, including the bonus one that we will be doing live on Saturday night. And yeah, I guess I already tried to say it before I had other thoughts to say. But yeah, until next time, go C's.